gonna call the meeting of the River Plantation Municipal Utility District Board of Directors to order. It is 6:31 p.m. on May 22nd, 2025. First item on the agenda is approve the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Directors for last month. I wasn't here, so you guys are gonna have to tell me if they're good or not good, or.
The minutes looked good to me. I didn't see anything that needed to be changed or corrected.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
All right, so I have a second.
Move we accept.
Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, receive comments from the public. Does anybody?
Still got people signing in.
I know.
Robert, you sign in?
I did.
Okay.
Okay, so, Betty, do you want to speak?
I did,
Okay.
and it's probably gonna be answered in the meeting, but I wanted to bring it up anyway. I just wanted to find out about the sprinkler system on the Charleston course.
I know it was, I can tell you, it was working for like a day, and then they ran into some problems, and last I knew they were working on it.
Yeah, so it should be
Still
completely,
looks pretty dry, I've driven there a couple of times, and I.
it should be completely fixed. They have set it to run where it's supposed to water each zone 2 times a week.
Okay.
2 times a
So
week.
it should be rotating around.
This looked pretty dry, and I just
We,
got.
we had an issue where, you know, some of those, the way those heads work, like some of them would get stuck up, and so we had to turn off the water and get them to come back out and fix it. So we're still trying to dial it in, so we're
Okay.
going back and forth, but it should
As
be.
long as it's working.
Yeah, it's, all the
That's all I
controllers
had.
are working now, and
Thank you.
Okay.
Taylor, I noticed the controllers aren't locked. Anybody can get in there and start messing with them. Can we get them? I'm sure somebody's gonna do that.
yeah, I mean, we can try to start putting locks on them and stuff like that, but that's just how the original controllers were, so, I assume there's a way to lock those,
I
but,
think there's a little hole.
yeah, we'll get a lock on them.
Just too attractive for manual.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Robert, are you a no? I can't, I don't know what that is.
No.
You're a no? Okay.
Yes, it's a no.
Okay. Yes is a no, okay. So that, nobody else wants to comment during public comments? Okay. Moving on to item 3, sale of $8,050,000 of unlimited tax bonds, series 2025. Lauren, I believe this is you.
All right, good evening. Nice to see you guys. I want to start with the Moody's rating report. So last month, we talked about how we would be making an application to Moody's for a rating. You can frame this. This is a significant moment in the history of the district. It's no longer a non-rated district. You did receive, as expected, the Baa3 rating from Moody's. There is a benefit, you know, it's impossible to quantify, but there is a benefit in terms of the interest rate that you'll pay. It's not huge, but there is a benefit in selling Baa3 bonds instead of non-rated bonds. This is a very short report. I always ask you guys to please read it. This tells you what the market, how the market sees your credit, you know, all over the United States and maybe beyond. I will highlight a couple things in this report. Before I do that, I do want to thank Keith, I want to thank Taylor, I want to thank Tiffany, and I want to thank Davis. You know, we receive a lot of questions from Moody's. Some of them, of course, we answer on our own, but many of them we need help from your fellow consultants. So I want to make sure that I mention that. Just to highlight a couple things here, you guys, just there in the first sentence, you know, we all can view these things differently, and we may have different opinions, but you can see that Moody's believes the debt burden to be moderate, so that's how they characterize the debt burden. They also make reference to your reserves. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about that for years, and you know, last month I mentioned they will pay attention to that. Your general fund reserve at less than a full year is something that they're making note of, and you know, and obviously From now on, they're going to compare you to all of the other BAA3 rated districts that they rate. And in some ways to the BAA2 rated districts, right? So, you know, all of the other BAA3 rated districts have, most of the other BAA3 rated districts have a higher reserve level in their general fund. So you guys are aware of that. You know, we had a lot of conversation, as you would expect, on the flooding that's occurred in the district. You can see there in the second paragraph, as recently as June of 2024. So, you know, of course, our objective here was to be as transparent as we possibly could with Moody's and informed them of all of those items. Any questions on the rating before I move on?
I just have a general question.
Yeah.
Is Moody the only one that does the rating?
No.
That's the one I've ever heard of.
You've heard of Standard & Poor's, and you've heard of Fitch, and you might have heard of Kroll. Fitch and Kroll do not rate special districts. You know, they'll provide ratings to, I don't know, City of Houston and City of Conroe and Texas A&M or whatever. S&P does provide ratings to special districts. It's kind of gone back and forth a little bit. We've generally seen that Moody's has been a little bit more forgiving, or Moody's has provided sort of better ratings than S&P. Moody's also has a little bit of an easier process when it comes to the indicative rating process that we talked about last month. Davis, I don't know if you have experience with Standard & Poor's, but you know, for the initial rating, we most of the time go with Moody's.
Sounds good.
Okay, behind that is the cover letter. This is the Rathman and Associates cover letter. This cover letter just kind of walks through the milestones in the process that we've taken to get to this point. So it talks about the application that went to the TCEQ, the approval from the TCEQ, the preparation of the preliminary official statement, et cetera, et cetera. Behind that, and the second page, that's the first appearance of the winning bidder, which is Samco, and then the third page is your, these are your bid results here. So we got 6 bids. I know it's been a couple years since the district sold bonds, but I'm sure I mentioned this in 2022. You know, by law, you're required to sell these bonds via a competitive method of sale, and so in many ways, you're a little bit at the mercy of the market because you're required to do this competitive method of sale. We are in a rising interest rate environment. That's what kind of over the last few weeks and also the last couple days. So in many ways, you know, it would have been great if we could have sold yesterday, and we're happy that we're not selling tomorrow. But when it comes to the competitive method of sale, you know, in many ways, the best you can hope for is to have many bidders involved. And 6 is more than usual. 6 is a lot. Samco is a familiar name to you all. They were the low bid for the Series 2022 unlimited tax bonds. I think Raymond James was the low bid for the park bonds, but Samco was the low bid for the larger unlimited tax bonds that you sold in 2022. So obviously they're familiar with your credit through the years. Let me point out a number that is, you know, we always look at the distance between the low bid and what we refer to as the cover bid. The cover bid here is represented by Hilltop. And that distance is more than 4.5, which is a little bit larger than what we normally see. Now in recent weeks, you know, so I'm kind of looking at this in 2 ways. Over the last few years, it's larger than what we normally see. In the last couple of weeks, it's been sort of a choppier market. We've seen bigger spreads between the low bid and the cover bid. You can't read too much into that. I think Samco, I think we can have some confidence that when Samco saw where the cover bid was, they might have been,
What do you mean by cover bid?
the cover bid is the second place bid, represented here by Hilltop. It's the word that we use to represent the closest next bid to the low bid. So we do measure the distance between the low bid and the cover bid. We take note of that. How close was it? And so there's a little bit of daylight there. This is a little bit larger than we normally see. Samco, you know, as soon as Samco sees the second place bid, Samco's wishing that they submitted a 506.5, you know, or a 506 flat, right? So Samco submitted a little bit more of an aggressive bid than I think, in hindsight, than they would have liked to. This is, of course, good from your perspective. As I mentioned, we are in a rising interest rate environment. I spoke to the Samco underwriter, actually, as I was driving up here to the meeting. He described kind of a choppy and a difficult market. He told me several stories about New Braunfels utility and city of Mesquite and whatever, and the challenges that they're having. You know, you guys probably don't care too much about this, but I think I mentioned last month the municipal market data, which is our federally tax exempt index. So just so that you're aware, that went up 3 basis points yesterday, and it went up 5 basis points today, which these are not huge moves. It's going up. But what the underwriter said to me was, you know, the market feels weaker than what's being represented by these increases in the index. You know, Samco, your two most common bidders here are Samco and Baird. They're probably number 1 and number 2 in the space in either order. Samco wins about 1 out of every 5 they bid, so they're a market leader.
How long is the bid good for?
How long is the bid good for?
Yeah.
Until you vote. So this evening, you know,
They're not gonna let it ride for months, right?
I think you'll need to vote tonight. Yeah, when, after your vote, whether, you know, whichever way you vote, I'm gonna inform them that they either have your verbal award or not, and if they don't, the bid that will be it.
In our offering document, we say that we are meeting at this location at this time to consider the bids, and that we will either award the sale or reject all of the bids.
I thought it
So-
would be like a contractor bidding and saying this is good for 10 days or whatever.
No, because it's the competitive
Yeah.
process, right, so.
Okay.
I'll flip the page here. You can see the coupon structure. This is a coupon structure that we see a lot with those kind of high coupons in the front end. So those bonds will be priced at a premium, meaning, you know, if you wanted to buy the 2028 maturity, you'd have to pay more than $130,000. I don't know exactly what it is, but, you know, if you wanted to buy all the bonds in 2028, it'd cost you $135,000. And then there will be discount bonds on the long end. That column on the far right, BAM, stands for one of the 2 insurance companies that I mentioned last month. That's Build America Mutual. So Samco did make the decision to pay the premium, and you can see the premium at the bottom there, $125,100. So that's the premium that Build America Mutual quoted. I don't know what Assured Guarantee quoted, but presumably they quoted a premium higher than $125,100. Just to make a note, this, you know, the 2 series in 2022, this being the 3rd series, all 3 have been insured by Build America Mutual.
Lauren, why are there some gaps in there on some of the years?
Yeah, great question, thank you. You may have this in the very back of your mind. I think there were some, we call those term bonds. So that's purely from a marketing perspective. Samco thinks that they can resell those bonds easier if they combine them and get them to be a little bit of a larger size. I don't know if they had an order in 2050. I don't know why they wouldn't have termed that up. But I guess from your perspective, what's important to know is that you will continue to amortize and retire the principal, and it will be economically and legally defeased. By economically, I mean you won't pay the interest on it anymore in 2048, in 2051, and in 2053. So if I had $655,000 and I bought all of that term bond, part of the bonds that I bought would be retired and returned to me, the same principal amount that went to the TCEQ in 2048, and then the rest would come to me in 2049. Davis has the good faith check and happy to answer any questions.
We get a check from the low bidder,
Right.
2% of par. We hold that check to ensure that they close. So $161,000. Never had to deposit one, so sufficient incentive.
They make a payment to us.
They send us a check that Lauren gave to me, and I am holding here, $161,000 check from Samco. And the deal is that if they don't close, then we deposit the check.
And we have to resell the bonds.
Right. So,
Yeah, liquidate.
again, they're,
Yeah.
I would expect Samco to close.
Okay.
So, at this point, if everybody's ready, I think the action is to award the sale to the low bidder, Samco. And these are the bid forms here. They're not tabbed, but there are 3 of them that need to be signed by the president and secretary.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the bid from Samco for the sale of the bonds?
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Samco.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay.
6:48.
I will tell them.
Okay, the next item is, the.
Say
The-
again?
No, you have to, you need to tell them the time of award, so. The next item is, the bond order. The bond order, y'all have obviously been through this process once before, but this is really, the action that the board takes, to, facilitate the sale of the bonds. So we have an offering document, but the offering document is really memorialized as a district action in the bond order. So we need to go ahead and approve the bond order, to, fulfill your obligation to, sell the bonds. So,
Sounds like the same thing.
they're very similar, yeah.
Do
So,
I have a motion to approve the bond order?
I move we approve the bond order.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the official statement, you saw the preliminary official statement previously. It had it had some blanks in it. You know, we obviously don't know who the low bidder is. We don't know what the interest rate or rates are. We don't know if you're gonna have an underlying rating. It's great that you have one. We also don't know if the low bidder is gonna elect to use insurance. And so now we need to approve the official statement, which is essentially that preliminary official statement with the blanks filled in. So,
All right, do I have a motion to approve the official statement?
I move we approve it.
Huh? You move to
Move to
approve it?
approve
Okay,
the
do I have a
statement.
second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
okay, the next item is a paying agent agreement. Your paying agent is Bank of New York. That's who we used on both of the Series 2022 bonds, the water, sewer, and drainage bonds, and the park bonds. And essentially, the paying agent is the entity that distributes the proceeds when you make a debt service payment. So you aren't responsible for keeping track of all of the bondholders or sending them the money directly. You send the money to Bank of New York, and they send the money to the bondholders. So,
Do I have a motion to approve the paying agent?
So I move we use Bank of New York as paying agent.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
okay, the next item, we are kind of in, the second step of the bond sale process right now. We obviously advertise the sale. Today, we award the sale. Now, I have a pile of documents here for you all to sign that are a variety of representations that we have to make to obtain the approval of the Attorney General's office. So we are scheduled to close on June 25th, the day before your next meeting. We will compile what's called a transcript and submit that transcript to the Attorney General's office for their review. And as I said, I have a variety of certificates here that are representations of general information about the district, right? Who the directors are, what the boundaries of the district are, what your outstanding debt is, and on and on and on. So, I just need, an approval of those certificates, and I'll give them to you for your execution, so we can get the transcript submitted and obtain the Attorney General's approval, so.
I move we approve the transcript.
Do we
The
need to read them?
certificates.
Sure, I'll be happy to read them.
Aren't they the ones that we have in our packet? Are
The-
those ones that are in the packet?
Yes, so we have the general certificate. And, do you want me to go certificate by certificate on the,
I don't think so.
okay.
No.
So the general certificate, describes the qualifications of the officials. It says that we levy taxes on an ad valorem basis. Describes your, location within the ETJ of the city of Conroe. It says that you do not currently have any revenue, bond anticipation, or tax anticipation notes outstanding. And it says that you do not have a limitation on your indebtedness. It also includes the net effective interest rate of the bonds. It describes your outstanding bonds, your 2022 water, sewer, and drainage and water, sewer and drainage and park bonds. You have 1,605,000 of your Series 2022 park bonds outstanding, and you have 6,810,000 of your Series 2022 water, sewer, and drainage bonds. We represent that we don't have any debts outstanding. The district doesn't have any debts outstanding other than the obligations, that I just described. We say that you have a depository for the district's funds. We describe the current boundaries of the district. We represent that you have complied with the Federal Voting Rights Act and Texas Election Code. We provide the names and incumbency of the board members, meaning the names of the directors, their offices, and the period on which their terms expire. We describe the use of the proceeds of the bond sale, which are to improve and extend water, sewer, and drainage system in the district. We represent that we have not defaulted on any, in an order authorizing the issuance of the bonds. We represent that we held all of our meetings to take action on the bonds were in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. We represent that we are in compliance with the TCQ, meaning that all data required to be filed with the commission has been filed, your registration page, et cetera. We represent that the proceeds of the bonds will be expended in accordance with the TCQ order authorizing the issuance of the bonds. Remember, the bond application, we apply to the TCQ, they issue an order. It can have limitations on your use of those proceeds, primarily obtaining plan approval for those projects. We represent that no one has filed a motion to overturn the executive director's order. We represent that we received sealed bids for the bonds. We represent that the bond election, which was held in 2021, was valid and lawful. And we represent that we are in compliance with Texas Government Code 2252-908, which relates to, which includes a variety of Israel terrorists, et cetera, oil and gas, firearms. We say that we did have a website at the time of the bond election, and that we do currently have a website, that we filed our statement of directors, that we are not using any of the bond proceeds for firefighting equipment or facilities, that we are providing a debt service schedule, and that we that the Houston Chronicle, one of the papers in which we advertise the sale of the bonds, is a newspaper of general circulation as required by the Water Code. So that is the general certificate.
You want me to go through the rest of them?
Okay. So,
I think we voted on it, we approved everything, didn't
I don't remember if we got to vote for it.
We haven't
That's the
voted yet.
question.
we? Huh?
to approve the certificates, we
Yeah,
haven't
he
voted.
made the motion,
Yeah.
and he
Okay.
seconded.
Did we
Okay.
vote on it?
That's
I think,
all
I think,
we
we, I
have to
think
do
we,
is
I think we
approve
need
it.
an
Yeah.
aye.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Aye.
okay?
Aye.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah, we did, but, okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. We did it
That was one
before you
certificate.
asked
I'll,
every-
yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Me to order lunch or
Yeah.
dinner, I mean, if that's.
All right, so
Yeah,
these are
exactly.
all
Here,
three
guys.
signed.
Yep.
One, two, okay. And, congratulations on a successful sale today.
Thank
So
you.
we'll get to work on the closing.
Yep,
I
yep,
have a pile of documents
to sign.
for y'all to sign, so
Okay.
I don't wanna rush you.
All right, can we go on to the next thing?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, financial and bookkeeping matters. That's you.
All right, y'all, we left off in your general operating fund with 94,000. By the way, this chair is fantastic. So much better, I feel so great. Okay, we've got a transfer over from your online account, then we received payments from AG Utility Underground. This was for reimbursement for a service line leak. Earned interest on the account, and we've got bank service charges. Still holding on to your blank checks, we did not have to issue those, so we're just gonna hold them. You'll see that we did not make new ones, so we'll continue to hold until we receive those in. Today for y'all's approval, we've got Alpha Lawn Care for lawn services, Dynamic Cleaning Crew for your office cleaning, Gilbert Mediation Group, that's a new one that you guys have coming through.
Oh, yeah.
Bookkeeping fees for the month, your maintenance and operations for the month, your prepared publications for operations admin, your joint drainage billing and your SAT billing, legal fees for both of your legal teams. TML, this is a liability deductible. This came through, so y'all are not used to seeing this every month either. I'd like to point those out. Touchstone for your emergency alert system. Lots of ongoing engineering fees. Handful of refunds for the month, and our ending balance is at $19,690. Your next page, your online account.
Hold on, you've got prepared publications and you say operations admin, that doesn't sound like an accurate description.
This is the same
That's
one
our-
that I've had on there,
I
so
know.
that I took over, so.
But, yeah, it's a website and IT admin maybe, but not operations.
I don't think we have that as a line item on the budget.
That's okay, we can change it if you want to
Just-
say IT instead.
I think that'd be more accurate. It just seems, it just jumped out at me this time. Operations admin sounds like something that MOC does. Right?
Yeah, anytime y'all see something, just let me know. I keep it the same each time so that it's
Sure.
consistent, but, I know a few meetings ago I had to change some, so just tell me if y'all see something that you want listed a different way. I'll change it to say IT admin
Perfect.
going forward. Okay. Your next page, your online account received an account receivable just under 62,000. We've got that transfer over to your general operating fund and customer returned NSF items. As always, it's people paying into your account that are NSF on their side. It's not y'all's accounts going NSF. Ending balance, including your Texas Class account, which is still over 4.2% in interest there. We've got $1,268,000. Your tax fund, taxes are trickling in still. Earned interest and service charges. Ending balance of $49,328. We are, as of April 30th, 91.92% collected. Your next page, capital projects fund, we received in payment from East Plantation. It started in this fiscal year where we're billing them out, billing a couple of your projects directly out of the capital projects fund. So this is their share coming in. Transferred over from your Texas Class account for the capital projects fund to cover today's expenses. You'll see interest and service charges listed. Then today we've got All Team Solutions. This is pay estimate number 2 and final. And then Institute Form, this is pay estimate number 5 and final. And then your engineering fees for this fund. Ending balance, including your Texas Class, is at $956,000. Your debt service fund, just interest there brings us to $814,000. Next page, your sewer treatment plant fund, receiving in payment from East Plantation, both service charge listed, still holding on to those 2 blank checks. Today we've got GFL for sludge removal, your bookkeeping fees, and then maintenance and operations. Ending balance of $3,374. Your joint drainage fund is on the next page. We received in payment from East Plantation and the new general operating fund. Today, for y'all's approval, we've got bookkeeping fees and your engineering fees. Ending balance of $18,887. Your next page is your profit and loss for the month of April. Overall, looking at that middle column there, we're looking at October through April, so a good chunk of your year. You'll see maintenance taxes. Now, I talked with Lauren back and forth on this. It was a little higher than what we anticipated. This is due to a transfer from last year, that 2023 tax collections. The bank was supposed to transfer it out and never moved, so we resubmitted the transfer. That's why it looks a little bit higher. Y'all are on track with what we anticipated for your 2024 collections, so that's why it's a little bit skewed there. Overall, with that third column midway down, income, $1,669,000. Your water and sewer repairs, sewer expenses brings on to the next page. All the way past your other expenses, so that very last number in your middle column, we're at $608,000 net positive. Your next page, your profit and loss for the STP fund. Zeros all the way across the bottom show that we have built everything out. And then the same idea in your joint drainage fund. Zeros across the bottom show that we built everything out. That's all that I have on my report. I do have a wire for you guys to sign today that is going to go to the Texas Comptroller, and that is for reviewing the bond transcripts. So that y'all can sign that and we'll wire that out. It's $8,050, percentage of your bond sale. So I also have some things that we need to talk about in executive session. So whatever, if y'all wanna wait and do that all together at the end, we can do that then or whenever. And it is related to fraud and security, that's why.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in executive.
And then, just so everybody's clear, an industry-wide concern, not anything
Yeah, it's not
specific
a-
to this district.
Yeah.
So,
This
just
district has not had problems.
Correct.
Yeah.
efforts to
That's what you
ensure
look like.
security. I'm sorry?
That's what you look like.
Okay. All right, any questions on the bookkeeper's report? Or the financial and bookkeeping matters?
If not, I move we accept the bookkeeper's report.
Okay, and approve the payment of the bills? And approve the payment of the
And
bills?
approve the bill.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay. Next thing, I'm gonna move some things here, so the next thing we're gonna do is, actually, maybe I'm not going to. Let's do the park maintenance matters and get that over with.
Okay. Park maintenance, I wanted to ask Taylor about the sprinkler system. That was something that's come up from people in the neighborhood. Where's Taylor? There he is.
Back there.
Yeah.
What's the current status on it working?
Yeah, so all the controllers are operational. We did have to shut it off, the meter, because there was a problem with, I think it was on that hole one right there next to the water plant one, whichever hole it was, there was one of the sprinkler heads got stuck up. I think it was running for quite some time. So we shut it off, they came out, they switched out some meters, everything's good to go. I believe it's been turned back on, but me and Mara are actually gonna run by and make sure the meter's turned back on. Cause we just shut it off at the meter, to kind of do a fast stop on it until they could address the issue. So
And what time are the sprinklers going off?
I'm waiting for the schedule to come down. They're supposed to run through the night, essentially, so that they don't interfere with people like walking and things like that. So,
Good, that's exactly what I was looking for.
yeah, well, I'm waiting on the schedule. They do have them set. I just don't know what the schedule is right this moment.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, and then the next thing we got is, we got some trees that we need to, get removed. And I've got two bids for, removing the trees. One is from Martin's Tree Service. It's $16,630. And then I have one from J&K Tree Service. His is, yeah, $16,375. So he came in lower than Martin did for a few more trees, because the count was different between the two tree companies. So I suggest that we go with J&K as he's the low bidder, and he has said that he can start working on it tomorrow and be completed by the 31st.
Is he gonna grind stumps for us?
He's gonna grind stumps. He's gonna grind stumps that are clearly visible from RP Drive.
I think
where-
all of those are, aren't they?
Well, there's a lot of them that aren't
Oh, really?
right on RP Drive. There's some that are on the cart path and other areas. But he is gonna grind a lot of stumps.
Yeah, because it seems most of them are on RP.
Yeah, and we gotta get them down because they've got some kind of beetle that are killing the laurels, and, yeah.
And are the trees marked with yellow tape that
Yes.
are coming down?
Most of them are, yes.
Not all of them, though, right?
Yes,
That one I discussed with you in email is not.
correct. It doesn't have a ribbon?
No.
Okay.
So you're.
I know
you're
we looked
recommending-
at it, but I didn't know it didn't have a ribbon. Okay.
You recommending J&K?
I recommend J&K.
Sounds
I
good.
have an observation.
Yes?
I recommend that you take out all the stumps to make sure you rid the property of the beetle as much as you can. You'll still leave some there when you do that. So the idea is not have trees infected by this fungus, which the beetle carries with it when it gets with the tree. I mean, on the HOA, they're stump grinding and they're chipping everything and taking off property. So hopefully he does that too. We don't have those beetles around here.
We're not gonna do this on a joint basis.
All right.
Mhm. Cause none of them are joint, if you look at the tree survey.
We'll talk to Jay about that, Robert. That's probably a good idea.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, I make a motion that we accept the bid from J&K for tree removal.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay? Yeah.
Okay, so he asked me for a $1,500 advance on that invoice, to cover some of his, what do you call them? I wanna call them dump fees, but that's not what it's called, landfill fees.
That's pretty much what it is.
For taking the trees to the dump to get them started, so,
Yeah.
we okay with that?
I'm okay with it. And then, following up on last month, we talked about the fountain and the pond. And I reached out to a company, and they sent me some information. And I'm gonna pass this around. This is a sample of one of the fountains that they offer. They actually sent me 3 pictures. One of them has a fountain shooting straight up, and then
I like that
the flower that comes out like that. The second one is this one, which is just like a flower.
You don't see that?
And then
I can see it.
you can see it, and then the third one is pretty much just shooting straight up in the air. The problem I have with it is that he didn't give me any specific numbers on the pictures that he sent me. He just said that for a fountain setup with LED lights in your pond would probably be $4,500. And
Yeah, I bet you can adjust that, though.
I
You
agree.
don't think you can adjust that?
I don't know.
Self-clearing?
It says that it's 16 feet wide, so I don't know if we can adjust it to make it a little wider or a little narrower.
Oh,
But
I just
thi-
meant the
No, shooting up,
shooting up.
don't know.
Do you know, do they self-clear with the weeds and stuff?
Yes, it's a pump that has the self-clearing on the bottom, and he says, we shouldn't have any problems with it clogging.
And that's the
And I
problem
have
that
that
we have
stuff
with
in
the
my
last one.
garage to make it a pretty color, right? And that was supposed to kill the, make it
Supposed to
not green and
kill
make
the
it.
stuff on the floor.
Yeah, I have that in my garage.
We still need to get that out.
Yeah.
The aeration is doing that?
No, the stuff that I have, what is it called?
Oh, like a-
I have something you put
Anti-sludge or
it in, yeah.
anti-mold or algae or.
I have, I think 11 gallons of it in my garage, so.
It's not doing us any good in there.
You ready to put
So-
it out? You can come by my garage anytime.
Yeah, that's the thing, we gotta
Need
put it
help
out.
with it, let me know.
So that's where we stand with the fountain. I don't know if we wanna move forward with that.
Do we have any other bids or just the one company?
That's just the one company, and that came highly recommended from, one of our vendors, that suggested that we work with them. I don't have any other names to go with. We could do that if you wanna wait till next month.
No, I just was curious, and we don't have to
I
have
think
three
it'd be
bids
nice
on
for the
this.
summer, for July 4th, that would be really nice.
I totally agree.
July 3rd.
How soon can you do it?
Well, they provide the materials. They don't, that price does not include electrical,
Don't they hook it up? We have electrical out there, I think.
so we're gonna have to have an electrician actually do the installation.
We need to hook it up.
You already
Yeah.
have electrical.
There was a pump there before, right?
Mhm.
I mean, a fountain
Yeah.
there before.
So we just have to have somebody make the connection.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
all we really need.
Right.
Right.
And they put it in the pond and they secure it and all
Right.
that junk.
I believe so. I can tell you one thing about this company is they're not, I have to say this, they're not the best at customer service, cause I've tried twice this week to get them to follow up with some questions I had and told them that we had a meeting tonight and they haven't responded, so.
Where are they out of?
Houston.
And always drive down there and sit there till they.
That's right,
Do
I can
whatever
drive
you're
down there
supposed
with,
to do.
with a pillow and sit in the front door and wait till they answer questions. All right,
I say we pursue it.
okay,
I make a motion, we pursue it. And we second it.
They can have it ready before the fourth.
They'll call,
well,
sure.
we'll make that a
That's one of
condition.
the questions, huh?
We'll make that a condition of acceptance,
Okay.
is that we gotta have it ready by the 3rd of July,
No, I'd say by the end of June.
okay?
I don't know anything about fountains, how much they cost. I'm just concerned about only getting one bid.
I don't know that much, but I know you can't get one that'll keep itself clear for under 2,000, and that's not
That's
installed, that's just
right.
the pump. Yeah.
So we have a motion,
Well, okay, I'll second it, we can go from there.
All in
Okay.
favor?
aye,
And
Come on then. Yeah.
okay, I'll contact them tomorrow. And then the, last thing I had about the, park was the doggy waste stations. No?
Go ahead.
We got, 2 more of those, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So I picked them up from Mr. Mark, about a week and a half ago. We just figured we'll wait to decide on locations where you want them installed tonight. We can move forward with that installation.
okay. Do we wanna decide right now where we're gonna put them?
I would have to look.
Yeah, I don't,
I don't think,
Okay.
I can't do it tonight.
when
Okay.
is, you've ordered them or?
We have them.
Oh, you
We
have
actually have them stored at Water Plant 3 right now.
Okay.
Okay,
I make a motion, we let Tim decide where they go.
I'm good with that.
You good with that?
Second.
Second.
I still think we need one on number 9, but.
Okay, whatever.
What you guys
Tell
do,
him and.
let Tim do it.
Tell him.
what's number 9?
It's the last one, that's back up, the one that was by the
Red
CIA
House.
building.
Oh, that's 9? Okay.
Yeah, that's the one, the key box is right behind it.
Okay,
But I see so many people that are pulling in there, parking, and they start with their dogs there. I think that's why you need one.
We're gonna do this one. Or you want me,
Okay.
you want me to tell them how we got to that? So,
Go ahead.
this other bid we got, for trees was, I got an email from this guy in Mosswood, and he said, during the hurricane, some of your trees fell on my fence, destroyed my fence, destroyed my patio furniture, and now I got more trees about to fall. So, I was like, oh, told Tim, I said, you know what, we have never checked that Mosswood ditch in a while to see if there's any trees on it that could fall. So he, while they were out doing the other trees, got the trees on the Mosswood ditch that are in danger of falling. But anyway, the guy doesn't even live near he lives on another street. It's the county's trees. But, anyway, it
But there
did
are
make
some
me
that are-
realize we needed to go look at the Mosswood ditch. And he's got, how many trees? 1, 2, 3, 4 trees, $2,400.
They're not gonna fall in the ditch?
No, I didn't go look at them, he did, but in talking to Jay, I think one of them, he said, was leaning towards a house in Mosswood, right?
Yes.
Well, are they our trees or are they county?
They're ours. These are ours. The ones the guy called me about are the county's.
Okay. Are they included in Jay's bid?
It's a different bid,
It's a separate bid.
$2,400.
No,
It's a
those are
standalone bid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we accept that bid to remove the trees off Mosswood.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, trees are like
Okay.
bugs, huh? The only time you like them when
Yeah.
they're flat.
Okay, the only other thing I have is, and it's in my car, I did get the plaque for the bench.
Oh.
Told Tim and Mario, and I left it in my car. So if somebody wants to run out to my car and get it, so y'all can see it, it's really nice, and it was $212.70 cents.
So you got a better deal than what I got.
Yeah, and it's a bigger one.
Okay.
It's 3 by 5,
Okay.
4 by 5. I don't know. It's not my car.
Okay.
I thought we have to go get it. Where is it in your car?
It's, okay, in the back seat, there's a
Yeah.
box.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
in
sure.
that box. You can miss it, so. Okay.
That's all I got for the park. Anybody, if anybody else has anything, let me know.
Now, Carl and I were
Yeah.
talking about some stuff, but I don't think we need to start it tonight, but some things we might think about in the future.
Okay.
And then part of that was maybe plant some trees and let part of it go back to natural.
Oh, you did have that.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I wanna, consider, I got some pricing on, 4-inch oak trees to replace some of these trees that were taken out. A 4-inch oak tree we can get for $600. That does not include installation. And that's the wholesale price for a 45-gallon, 4-inch oak tree.
It's how much?
$600
A piece.
a piece. Yeah,
Trees are expensive.
yeah.
It is tree farm.
Can we not get them from that, whoever has the foot?
Arbor Day?
Yeah, for the Arbor Day.
What
thing?
day is Arbor Day? And what kind of trees do they do?
Arbor Day was in April, right, Robert?
I had two, one in Willis, one in Conroe. They have about 5 different varieties, had a couple pecan, had,
I don't.
ball cypress, they had an oak, yeah, they had a Schumacher oak, I think. So they have a
So
variety of
we have to wait
They're
another
free,
year.
and
I just don't think we should keep putting them on the sides, because most of the sprinklers are sprinkling on the fairways.
Right.
That's where we should put trees now and
Yeah.
start building that up
Yeah.
long term.
I agree.
Then let it go, we don't have to.
Okay, that's what the plaque looks like.
Very nice.
You don't wanna see it, that's what it looks like. That's what $212
That's great.
gets you.
Looks really nice.
Anyway, remind me to give that to you every night, Mario, so you can
Yes, ma'am.
take it.
And it's got the little spikes that go down in the concrete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. So, I think we need to start a program where we do maybe 10 trees a year. We've got a long road to go to replace all these trees that we're having to cut down. I mean, that's right. I mean, it's over 100 trees we've done in the last couple of years. So if we start a program where we do 10 trees a year, I mean, we can eventually catch up, but at least it'll put a dent in it. So I think that we should commit to getting 10 trees and then, finding out about getting them planted.
I agree. Otherwise, we're gonna run out of trees.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
So we're not
Okay.
money, you.
I mean, we don't have to buy all 10 of them today.
Yeah.
I mean, we could buy 3 of them
And do they have to be oak? I mean, pine
No,
trees are probably a lot
no.
cheaper, right?
Yeah, but we don't want
Pine
mine.
trees.
Why not?
Oh,
They grow fast.
Yeah, we got enough pine trees out here though.
They're
we
cheating
Doing
them
something
there.
that's
They're-
gonna
they're
develop
cheap.
a,
There's a reason they cheat.
What
what do you
But
call
they're
that?
cheap.
what if we
Shade
put some
tree.
pecan trees out?
I've never
Robert,
seen
what do you
anything that
suggest?
was a tree.
For a tree type.
Well, magnolia be good. They
Okay.
kinda grow wild around here.
Jamie?
You can find some, be one.
We recently, the RPTI recently decided to replace a lot of trees as well. And we received quotes from Montgomery Pines. They grow their own trees, and they also sell to Woodlands Nursery. And our quote for magnolias was $297 a tree for their, 35 gallon, I think. And they're pretty big.
Is that installed or just a tree?
That's just a tree, but they have a guy that will install, and he's pretty inexpensive. And then there's, a live oak, and it was 200 and something, and then, of course, the pines are cheaper, but
We
we
don't
don't,
want
we don't.
pines.
They snap during the.
And if you guys wanted to, we could do the order together, but we pay ours separately, and you pay yours separately, and then we may be able to get a more
Discount.
discount.
The only advantage of pine is you can harvest it and sell it.
What would you think about putting a state tree, that's a pecan tree, pecan tree's a state tree.
Then you
Is
gotta
that-
clean it
is
all
that
up,
good?
and who's gonna clean it up when they mow? I mean, you get
The
pecans, what are you
lawnmowers.
gonna do with the pecans?
Eat them.
Squirrels.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of squirrels, that's for sure.
The biggest issue on Charleston
One
is
on
you
our
have to water it
street,
at first,
actually.
so
There's a
you
couple
need
of them on our
irrigation.
street.
Yeah, we'd have to make sure that that irrigation system is consistent. Cause we don't wanna lose these trees once we start planting.
Yeah, I would probably hold off
I agree with that
for a little bit.
Especially with it being
Probably
summer.
October is when you're.
Oh, yeah, you don't wanna plant them right now anyhow.
Until we kinda get it dialed in, cause we're still
Yeah.
working through, you know, it was still an old system, so even though we got it up and running, just that stress of it functioning.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're still.
alright,
finding some
but at
issues.
least we can commit to it and know that we're gonna be doing that as a program.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Anything else for the park?
Not tonight.
Okay,
Alright. Three that I got here. Okay, let's go operators report and then engineers report.
All right, board, you should have your report in front of you for April. You have connections totaling at 978 with 39 vacancies. Revenues totaling at $61,950.07. Billed consumption of $8,549,000. Below that, we have all your pumpage, total pumpage of $9,944,000. We are 93% accounted for with 6 leaks repaired in the month. 6 bacteriological samples, all came back good. Your wastewater treatment plant numbers below that, everything is working within parameters. No excursions or breaches, and the plant operated at 60% of its permanent capacity. We have total reuse of $1.7 million with a revenue of $923.20. Below that, we have our consumption. Following page, we have our production and accountability report, 93 for the month, 94 for a 12-month average, and your 2 charts reflecting those numbers. And final page, we have a copy of our DMR, what was submitted to the state. Again, no excursions or breaches, and everything is running within as it should. So now, you hand it over to Keith to talk about the CCR.
Pass out a document that looks like this. By way of reminder, this is a document that's due to your customers July 1 of each year. I would like to remind you all that, in large part, much of what's contained within the document is a function of a template from the TCEQ, and so we get to add some pretty colors and pictures, but really the meat of the document is according to the template. Turn to page 3, this is where we list the various contaminants that were sampled for within the district. Again, like to remind you all that the contaminants that are sampled for and the frequency with which they're sampled, that's not something that we decide, that's not something you all decide. Again, that's set out by the state. The way that the document's laid out, to the far right-hand side, you'll see violation. If you run down the list there, you'll see N for no, indicating that drinking water is in compliance with state standards. If you were to jump a couple columns over from the right-hand side there, you'll see MCL, that's your maximum contaminant level. So that's the value that you don't want to exceed. Obviously, if you exceed that, then you would be in violation of state and federal standards. MCLG is your maximum contaminant level goal. But beyond that, again, good report, no violations, no issues. Really quick, speak of. Last item I'll touch on, over the last several years, we've sent this document out electronically. Many years ago, we would print off and mail hard copies of this to all your customers. The state allows us to send an insert in our water bill that has a direct link to the document. We'll also provide a copy to put on those website. Obviously, if the customer wants a hard copy, they can contact our office. We're happy to mail them one, but it saves us time, and also money to send it out electronically. I think the ask today is that you guys would approve it, subject to final review and comment from your attorney, and then we'll get it teed up to go out prior to July 1.
So that far right column where everything is M, that means no, we had no contamination, nothing that exceeded the levels.
They're correct.
Okay.
There's nothing that exceeds the state standard.
Okay, good.
And it's a little off subject, but haven't I been hearing they're talking about taking chlorine out of the drinking water?
There's been some, you're the third or fourth director that's asked me that in response to the consumer confidence discussion. There's been some, I think, chatter, news articles and whatnot. I would tell you, at least as it relates to TCEQ drinking water standards, no near plans of removing the disinfectant.
So did you say you were gonna post this on the website?
Yes, sir. Once we get it in final form and we got, everybody's blessed it, then we'll provide a copy to Monty for him to throw on the website.
I hadn't heard anything about chlorine being eliminated, but I've heard about fluoride.
They're talking about chlorine now.
We don't have fluoride, do we?
We don't do fluoride
We
here?
don't feed fluoride.
Okay, good. All right.
Do we need to approve that report?
That's a consumer confidence report.
You got any problem with it legally?
I haven't, seen it yet, but I'm gonna take a look at it.
So do I have a motion to approve the consumer, what was it, Keith?
Consumer confidence report.
Consumer confidence report?
I'll make a motion that we accept the consumer confidence report.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
One other item, briefly, I passed out a letter to you all as it relates to a relationship that we had with a former third-party lab. It was a subcontractor to municipal operations. They did perform some sanitary sewer, so this is just on the wastewater side of things. They did perform some lab work. So yeah, if there's any questions, conversation, clarity needed, happy to try to answer some questions.
So if I understand, we used them in the past, we're not using them anymore
Yes,
because they
correct.
had a violation.
That's correct.
I
Yeah,
know they did.
for over a year now, we've been with a new provider. And again, I want to stress, this is all related to wastewater effluent, so nothing to do with drinking water. And, yeah,
But no known TCQ violations or
that's correct.
kind of any issues in River Plantation.
Correct. Everything that we've heard has no effect on, again, everything that we've heard to date, no effect on municipal operations or its clients.
Do I have a motion to accept the operator's report?
I make a motion, we accept the operator's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before we move on, can you make sure this gets on the website? Because those of us that get our bills electronically don't get this.
Oh, yeah. Sure can.
Okay.
Carl, if you'll email it to us,
Yeah,
if you'd like,
make one little change on it,
They send me a
you want
letter.
PDF, right?
Bill
sure,
anyway.
yeah, if you'll send it to us, we can
I
put it
don't
in the
get a
bill.
bill.
Well, you can-
Mine's electronically.
You can, jump out of that, just get it electronically.
Soon not get all that paper. I'll have
Alright.
to look into that.
Okay, next one's engineer's report.
All right, guys, first page for the permits, no updates on any of those items. Moving on to the joint projects for the East Ditch, still haven't heard from FEMA. Everything's been approved, we're just waiting for the release of the funds. For the East Ditch maintenance, the contractor is mobilizing, they're supposed to begin work this month, or early next month. Wastewater treatment rehab, we did get the new generator delivered and set. The electrician is working on getting everything wired up. They're also switching over to electrical service. Right now, there's 2 accounts out there. We're trying to drop it down to 1 account, so everything's run off the same account. Moving on to the district projects, the sanitary sewer rehab phase 2, that project is complete. We have pay application, that's supposed to be number 5. 5 and final in the amount of $78,536.45 that we recommend payment, that Tiffany reported on. And Julie, I'll send you the district acceptance letter PDF,
Okay.
just because I know you have a bunch of documents to sign tonight. For the Charleston Park irrigation, we touched base on that. All the controllers are currently working, and right now it's set to water each of the zones 2 times per week, and waiting on the official schedule for that. Nothing new on the FEMA public assistance for the April-June declaration. We've touched bond application number 10, so no need to go over that. Sanitary sewer sinkholes, these were the various sinkholes throughout. One of the big ones was right next to the bridge. That construction is substantially complete. We have pay application number 2 and final in the amount of $43,970 that we recommend payment. Also send you the district acceptance letter for that one. 703 Fairway Oaks storm sewer failure. So they have started to drop off equipment and kind of get everything set up. They'll be beginning really the bulk of that work next week. And Carla, I have been communicating with Rob as far as the construction schedule and things with that. Cornerstone Church attached, I have a cost estimate for the work to be performed. And we've completed the preliminary layout for that work. So our recommendation is to get a deposit from the church in the amount of the cost estimate, sorry. It's approximately $180,000, that includes the engineering amount for all that work. For the Mosswood Ditch rehab, the preliminary design is underway. We're working with an environmental engineer to evaluate the channel, ensure that we can perform all the necessary work. It's just part of the process of the waters of the United States and navigable waterways and things like that. We should be above board because it is concrete lined, even though it's buried under dirt. But we always want to make sure that we don't get in any trouble with the Corps.
Serves its purpose.
That's right.
I got a question about that. There are some trees that are growing from the ditch and in the concrete. Is that part of the project to get rid of some of these trees?
Yeah, our goal is to essentially take it back to what it was supposed to be. There's a conversation to be had about how much we take away the trees, but my goal is to make it a functioning channel again, fully manicured essentially.
Great.
Right now it's being blocked, and obviously the trees are a hazard to the residents. While they're beautiful and provide shade, and they've been there for years, they're undermining the actual function of that easement.
Right.
Is our opinion, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Storm sewer phase 2 rehab, so the preliminary design is underway for that. As far as the questions, this came up, there is lot 593 Fairway Court. The homeowner has built a retaining wall along the concrete channel that appears to fall within the drainage easement. We did have a meeting out there today, and I believe they're here right now to discuss in more depth. But we visited on site. Obviously, we didn't see anything prior to the work or anything like that, so we weren't able to evaluate it in detail. And the last thing is 716 Stonewall Jackson, sinkholes around the channel as well. I had my team prepare a pretty lengthy report with some good pictures. I'm going to ask the contractor who's doing the channel maintenance to give us a price to come in and do some flowable concrete behind that wall and then fill in those sinkholes as well. So they're pretty bad and starting to undermine the channel. So,
And then we have one more, the 593 Fairway.
that's what I just.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so, also on that, Taylor's gonna be looking at that, but I'll say a few things in open session. Maybe something we wanna talk since we're gonna be in executive session. But the Catulas are here, and we're glad they could be here, and so we had, I don't wanna say we're in an enforcement, I think it's more of an educational phase. But they're doing a project in their backyard, and that would normally be a CIA/ACC issue. And it does need to go through them, but that's not our jurisdiction, and we don't care about that strictly speaking, but it does need to. The reason we're involved is because it adjoins one of your channels, and there is some permanent improvements being constructed to the lip of the channel. Has potential to affect the integrity of the channel. It's also where one of your FEMA projects is gonna be. And it is also most likely that some of the improvements are being constructed in one of your easements. We've had some talks. There was some original impression that they had authority, but speaking to one of the board members, that obviously wasn't given. and can never be given by a board member. It has to come through an official presentation to the board. It will get reviewed by your engineer. And so mostly we're saying this in open session so that everyone will know. If you are doing a project that affects one of the district's facilities, you have to get district's approval. But I truly, you know, we've had very good conversations. Mr. and Ms. Petula here, if they have anything they'd like to say. I have no complaints. Spoke with them yesterday at length. We met on the site today. And so I'm glad they're here. Do y'all have anything you wanna say to the board or anything while you're here?
Well, we brought pictures.
Oh, perfect, yes, ma'am. Can I have those? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and I just want on record that this wasn't done as like an improvement because this is what we wanted. It had to be done as a safety reason for being dangerous. Our sinkholes were getting bigger and bigger. We have small dogs, we have a 3-year-old granddaughter runs around. And it's for the safety of what was happening with our retaining wall eroding and everything else eroding around it.
Take a look at those. I'll give those to Taylor. Yeah, so there's no, it looks to me like it's a very professional project. There's no indication that this, you know, no one's trying to say it wasn't necessary or anything. The real issue is essentially tying into one of your channels, and that is just not lawful to do without district approval. And so we just don't want to affect the drainage, we don't want to do anything negative, but I don't think anyone was trying to do anything negative. I think that the intentions may have been positive. So where we are is Taylor is analyzing it, and he is gonna say, you know, up or down to the board, whether there's an impact, does anything need to be modified, can it stay, can it not stay? We don't think any more construction should happen before then. And so that's some of the stuff we'll wanna talk about in executive session.
Okay. So, you do or you don't have any plans, right? There were no plans done for this project?
Personal plans?
No,
We worked with
not,
the contractor.
I mean with the contractor.
With the
You didn't draw up
contractor.
any plans?
Actually, we had drawings, but like nothing, like he didn't professionally do anything.
Where are the drawings? Do you still have them?
I mean, they're just hand drawing things, but yeah.
I mean, the more information the district engineer can get, the better.
Okay.
It just will help speed up the process, does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
I just think we should talk about it a little in executive, but if there's
Yeah.
anything you wanna say in open session, it's totally fine.
I would recommend, and this is just me, and I can't speak for the whole board, but is this something we wanna talk about in the executive about, maybe until we get the plans, they stop?
Yeah, I do think the board should decide that, but I think that's probably the right thing. It's honestly in Mr. Petula's best interest,
Yeah,
because
stop.
if it turns out it can't stay, you don't wanna do any more work, you're just wasting your own money.
Right.
Our initial reviews, it looks like it's probably not gonna be a problem. There may be some issues that, you know, there may be a way that we would have said to do it slightly different. But the goal is to accommodate. The goal is not to
Right.
undermine what the property owners have already done.
Okay. Then I suggest we go into executive session.
Do you wanna approve the engineer's report?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to approve the engineer's report?
Move we accept the engineer's report.
A second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
You're gonna jump down to executive session?
Yep, we're jumping down to executive session, then we're gonna come back in.
Do you want me to make a comment on item 9 real quick,
Sure.
in case there's any, the
9 or 10? I mean,
9, the policy for recording of
Oh,
meetings?
okay.
I just wanted to say there is, oh, go ahead.
We're gonna talk about something.
An
We're gonna talk about
executive.
that in executive?
I was just gonna make a comment about the pending legislation there. You know, we had talked about presenting a policy for the board's review in advance of this meeting. There is some legislation pending that would potentially require changes to that policy right now. And so, we thought it would be prudent to wait and just kind of maintain the status quo until, we can, have a policy where we know it is compliant with state law that we present to you. We don't give you one and then tell you, oh, state law changed 30 days later and we need to change it. So I don't think that helps anybody. So recommend we just table that for today.
Okay.
So.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so we are going into executive session. I have no idea how long it's gonna be.
Right.
Okay, we're back into open session at 8:25 PM. Does anybody have any motions they need to make?
I have two. The first one is, three. The first one is that we,
No.
what about that one? Okay. The first one is that, moving forward, the bookkeeper's report not posted, and the engineer's report not be posted online anymore.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Second motion is that we approve positive pay for our bank account, for all checks that are written.
I second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
I
Alright,
think it
and
should
the-
be noted that this is for security reasons, for
I agree with
security
that.
reasons.
Yeah,
Same with
for
the
security
non-posted.
reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. The third is, notifying the Catolas not to continue work until we get a complete, review from Taylor so that he can approve their construction.
Second that.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright.
Thank you.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
we got
So
some things on
basically,
the-
status quo for now,
No worries.
And,
Nothing's,
the-
it's all. Here's my email.
the idea
You
is
guys
gonna
wanna send me
be,
any more information or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll base feed you with it.
I could, can I, yeah, I'll send you these pictures.
My cell number's on there?
Right.
Yeah, feel free to just start texting.
I think this is what you really wanted to say.
Make sure it's not at 2 o'clock in the morning.
But I think this is,
And I think the only other thing was that insurance proposal, which I have from TML, if anybody's
Okay.
interested in seeing it, but again, it's, you know, $1,000 or $1,500 in coverage, and it's, here are summaries on the front if y'all wanna see the,
It's basically 1%.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
just send me,
Yeah.
that's the cost, and I'm not, you know,
yeah, just send me all
the reason I have it is because that is what is available from
But
TML,
$100,000
and
is not anything when somebody
thank you.
gets
Right.
taxed and
Thank you.
you have to notify everybody, you have to,
Appreciate
I
it,
mean,
thank you.
jump through hoops.
Okay.
I know, it just, but I just think $1,000 for $100,000 is just outrageous. 1,000 for $100,000.
Well, that's 1%.
I pay almost that for mine.
it's entirely up to y'all. I will say most of the other proposals that I've seen have,
Do we have to approve that tonight?
you don't have to approve it tonight, you can wait until next month if you want. Most of my clients don't use TML, they use, you know, what I'll
Yeah,
call private
companies.
insurers. And I'm seeing quotes in the $3,000 or $4,000 range for $250,000 in coverage.
Okay, good, okay, good.
And, but
So-
the ACC
I'll have to
has
look
to
at
meet
it. I have
and
mine.
look at it.
Yeah,
and
we
decide.
want, I think we want
They ask, we have to fill out an application to get this, and it has fund balances, and it looks at your operating, and they actually do some basic analysis of your, yeah,
I agree with, absolutely, yeah.
financial position.
Yes, I
So,
was gonna say,
okay,
it's just a working
we'll
relationship.
show that as tabled if y'all wanna
Okay.
wait
Because
to
I
look
know
at that, and I
the
can just
ACC,
leave those with you,
They
so.
received the application
Okay.
today.
we wanna help.
We have
Okay.
to, we
Okay.
have to approve it
And
before
that's,
it can move
that's all I
forward.
have.
Approve it or deny it.
Okay.
And I know that the other two guys on that committee
Motion
are
to
gonna
adjourn?
No,
have tons of
I gotta ask one, I don't know if Paul has anything
I have
with the
plenty of
violation of
questions,
district
too.
rules or not.
Yeah.
Me
too.
too.
The
more
more-
They just
Paul-
threw it out.
Paul, do you have anything
They're not
else on
gonna accept
violations?
just a draw.
No,
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 we're
I
good.
don't, sorry, there was
Okay.
enough, I think.
And they
Okay.
may
No update on Tackus?
He just said.
That's the one we're
Mediation.
mediating.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no, that's fine, it's
Yeah.
no problem.
Okay, so, do I have a motion to adjourn, assuming that our next meeting is for June 26th
So our
at
policy
6:30
is with you
PM?
guys, is that when anybody does
I
something
move
like
we
that, we
adjourn.
first, and then
Do I have a
y'all
second?
go behind it.
A second.
All in favor?
And we just
Aye.
met this week, so our next scheduled meeting is
See you next week, or
And
next
we
month,
may
whatever.
have-
Closer to a minute.